We're live. Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday, the 5th of May. So, let's have a look at the markets. Firstly, of course, the Fed increased the interest rates as expected at 50 basis points yesterday evening. That's the first 50 basis points hike in 20 years. I thought I'd throw that little number at you. So the very first one in 50 years. So yeah, some mover, that one. So let's have a look at the news events coming up during today. Let's just switch. Okay, so today is Thursday, honestly. Right, so we have the Bank of England, and that is pre-OPEC. Oh, the OPEC meetings. Now that be interesting, bearing in mind the more pressure that's on Russia. So notice the OPEC. It used to be the OPEC plus meetings. It's OPEC minus at the moment. Probably not. Anyway, OPEC meetings all day today. Well, when they get going, could see some volatility on oil on that basis. Bank of England meeting at 12. We'll get the data from that. I'm just looking. There's no mention of anything beyond that, but normally there's a press conference. But I'm just looking through the details here, and it doesn't actually give me a time of the press conference. I'll be surprised there's nothing at all, but there we are. We used to, whenever there's a hike and it's an expected 0.25% hike, there would be a press conference. Okay, so any hike here of 0.25% will be as expected. The thing is, in the statement, is whether they'll put anything mildly dovish in terms of suggesting things might not be increasing at quite such a rate because of the damages it's doing to the country, but we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Let's look at the technicals. So just at 12, where the OPEC meeting's going on, there will be talk from that at any point. So really the 12 o'clock meeting is the only one we can manage. Looking at the technicals then, the euro actually pitched up into last night with the news that it did exactly what it did. It's a bit of sell on the news for the US dollar, and the euro benefited. I'd be surprised if this was to stay up here. I'm sort of looking maybe early-ish this morning I'll get on the short side. I prefer to be on the short side. I might be wrong, but I'm just waiting for an opportunity. Now it is above its daily pivot at the moment. Breaking below that might help things, but it has got support into these prior highs here, just to bear in mind, at 105.78. so if you're looking at the short side, but I will watch it carefully. Horrible day yesterday, and it was a good day to be sitting on your hands here for a long period. We just saw consolidation. Obviously we've seen consolidation through the Asian session there, but there we go. That's the euro. The pound likewise had a decent shove up yesterday into the late evening. Selling off at the moment, so same sort of reaction. It's again quite a pretty action here. Of course, we got news out later. If we see selling on the pound into the news, because it happens as expected, that could see us running off, breaking these prior lows here. And in the bigger scheme of things, it's been a bit of a consolidated sort of flaggish pattern. It looks better on the 4-hourly, but that would be potentially a breakdown from there, and we'd see a bit more. I mean, it's certainly been a rising channel pattern. Right, okay, 60-minute, nothing else really. It gives us no other data apart from it's a lower high in there, and it does look soft. So again, I think it's a case of waiting post 8 o'clock and see what happens here. Dollar yen, it's more looking at the higher time frames here. Again, it benefited briefly, but again the dollar seems to be strengthening this morning and taking back up its normal role, and as it should do, because it's outperforming all of these at the moment. Lower high on the dollar yen on the 4-hourly, which is a bit of a soft pattern, and it will keep me well and truly out of it. Really spiky old action. Talked about sell on the news yesterday. Certainly did that for a while. But as you can see, it's currently trying its best to get back in zone, and often wherever it was, it will come back to when there's sort of no real differentiation of news. There's the green light for the Fed to carry on increasing rates, so at 0.5%, 0.5% a time. Okay, Aussie dollar benefited the best and really rallied up into its monthly pivot here, having a reaction at the moment. Again, this could do the same. Keeps pulled back to I was and have been a bit more bullish on the Aussie for good reason. They've gone from a pretty dovish stance to a slightly more hawkish stance, and more likely to increase rates, etc. Higher lows through here on the 4-hourly, but I think I'll wait and see on that. I don't particularly want to short it. I'd rather short the weaker currencies. I mean, again, it might just work its way through to its daily pivot. If it starts breaking that, well, then there's a weaker signal. But for now, I shall leave that alone. Right, that's the Aussie Canadian dollar. Finally, out of the majors here, and well, Canadian dollars gained a little bit extra this morning as opposed to the others. It's gone in and sort of taken a little bit more out, but it's just literally got bouncing on its pivot at the moment. Again, a bit like the Aussie dollar, I just see there's the potential for the Canadian dollar at some point to do better. Sounds like my school reports how it could do better. Lower highs, lower lows kicking through. Consolidation around here. Has got the daily pivot up there. Maybe at some point it will break up to that. Be interesting just to watch it coming back into the trend in particularly, and see if it just continues to the downside thereafter and just continues its strengthening. But certainly holding up the best this morning. Don't really see a trade around it quite yet. Okay, moving across to gold. So looking at the commodities, gold, well, it's seen another little pitch up there yesterday, and this morning it's following through at the moment. Higher lows coming through. It's got its weekly, is that the weekly, monthly pivot above, which could be a draw. Hasn't been touched. Let's just go back to that. Yep, monthly pivot untouched there. Let's just come down 2 time frames now, and high lows, higher highs. It is consolidating, maybe another flaggy sort of pattern in there, but it has got an untouched daily pivot. It starts moving off at any speed. Well, there's a decent target for it. Okay, there's gold and oil. So oil meeting today, OPEC, and it's continued not doing too much here. It's had a reasonable day yesterday. Softer oil dollar price for a short while will normally gives the oil a bit of a bounce as well. It's holding up okay, and I think with that meeting maybe got some more. However, I can spot a bit of a sort of a butterfly pattern that's sort of sitting here for you harmonic traders out there. There is a bit of a butterfly, a bit of an ugly one, but it's still a butterfly all the same. With this, it's come up, it failed to make a new low at this point here, then it's just making a new high rather, and then now it's obviously over the last few hours it's made that new high, but I wouldn't really sell against it at this stage, and with the news coming out today, it's probably best left for now. But just watch out for that. They don't all work, but it's quite nice around a high there, and it might just roll over. But you've got plenty of time to trade it. You can just trade it off the trend of the lows here, by the way. Right, okay, that's pretty much that. Let's just switch across platforms now, back into I tell you what, you won't want a 5 minute. Someone had me looking at a 5 minute yesterday evening. Let's get this up to date and look at CSI. So we are open now, aren't we? Let's just check. 5th of May, that is it. Okay, so yeah, 29th April, 5th of May, so first day back there. This might be opportunities in terms of maybe tomorrow if you're trading this, maybe if it starts selling off, breaking up back to the downside from here, maybe the opportunity to start selling back into this. It's a market that's okay. It's had a few days up there, but largely a bearish trend sitting there, and it's run into its monthly pivot. So it does look like there's potential for downside. Nikkei likewise. I mean, it's yep. Oh, still 2nd of May. The Nikkei's not opened yet. It must still be one more bank holiday, he says. One more day of bank holiday then, so that's not open. We'll skip that and go over to Nifty 50 and see what that's happening over there. Well, Nifty 50 yesterday sold off, broke the lows there, and has given us another lower high. And as suspected, these markets are likely to, when we see interest rates keep going up and up in the US, it puts pressure on the equity markets. The pressure on the US equity markets tends to reflect around, so certainly got potential for further downside. Talking of the US markets, well, it did actually again, just as the currencies bounced yesterday, the likes of euro, the pound, etc., so is the S&Ps at the moment, and it's just starting to step its way down. I do wonder if it's running, so there's a series of highs over there. You can just probably make it out. It'll be, if it doesn't break that, and it might run off a little bit more this morning, and maybe a reasonable opportunity on the south side of this. But okay, yes, it was pushing up before the news, but that new 0.5% interest rate with more at least another 1% this year, 1.5% this year will suggest further downside there, or slowing up for the equity markets. Looking at the Nasdaq here, not quite into the pivot, but similar-ish picture and the potential. And the Dow Jones similar. It's actually gone through its monthly pivot, slightly more bullish there, but certainly a little bit more bullish. Right, okay, let's move across to oh, I didn't look at the crypto this morning. I knew there's something missing. I just wanted to do those. So crypto, again, same old picture. It's already selling off at the moment, and it's a common thread right away across these markets against the dollar, isn't it? They all sold it. The dollar sold off, and it showed across all of these markets. Got more potential to the downside at the moment still. A slightly higher low on Ethereum actually, so tread carefully if you're looking at that one. And in fact, maybe that's, did I miss it on Bitcoin? Yeah, fractionally higher low there as well, but I still remain bearish. Morning Joe, still remain bearish on these cryptos at the moment, as much as a lovely move on the Cardano there, but again selling off quite quickly this morning. So for those that are regular traders, they're probably shorting now at the moment. Right, that is pretty much it then for today. I've done everything else, so I wish you a great day's trading, and I will catch you tomorrow morning. Bye for now. That's them done.